Welcome to another video of Beyond the Bullets with Variux. I'm David Edmonson. I'm the owner of Variux. We started back in 2008 as a hosting company, and over the years we transitioned into doing e-commerce full-time, focusing on Magento. And now as Acumatica ERP has continued to become really a major dominant player and a very excellent platform to work with for ERPs, we've been focusing on synchronizing between Acumatica and Magento. So in this series, I'm going to go over the pricing strategies and what relates between Acumatica and Magento as far as the different fields and the pricing options that are available. Now in this particular demo, or presentation I should say, I'm going to go over the Magento Open Source Edition and what's built in for pricing. And here really the thing that I'm considering is what's there out of the box so that you as an organization director can think about maximum sales and margins, because that's really what matters. And open source matters. So, there are millions and millions of different platforms that are built on open source technologies. And of course, Magento is open source and it's commercial. And even Acumatica supports many open source initiatives. So you'll see the Linux Foundation here. Acumatica is a sponsor. Adobe is a sponsor. Open source generally means free to install, free to modify, and free to reuse. Now that's not always the case, so be sure to check your licenses with any software that you're working on to make sure that your particular platform is being used in a way that's consistent with the license. Now, a big shout out to Magento Enterprise. So the Adobe brand bought Magento several years back. They call it now the Commerce Edition. This is a great option if you need direct support from Magento, if you need to use the B2B features that are built in, that come out of the box. And now one thing they have that's just stellar from the reports that I hear is the marketing tools that make it easier for doing page creation and content creation for marketers. That's certainly worth taking a look at, as well as the advanced analytics and the PCI compliance options. Now this is where I like to focus, the Magento Open Source Edition. I like the fact that there's complete openness. I believe that there's a lower total cost of ownership on the open source platform. Of course, if you talk to Magento Enterprise, you might get a different story about that, and they probably have data to back that up. But I've seen a lower total cost of ownership on the open source platform for my client base. You have hosting independence. You can take the open source edition to any Linux server. And of course, you can get PCI compliance with payment providers like APS and with even authorized.net except .js. So the open source edition, we're going to go over some of the pricing that's built in. So that's special pricing. It is customer group pricing. And then within customer groups, you have, you could do customer groups per customer, even per product, tiered or bulk pricing. All of that is built in. And what is not built in, but it's an honorable mention for a feature to add in, is the markup. So if you are storing cost in your ERP system and you want to mark that cost up instead of marking down list, that's something that can be added. So let's jump into special pricing first. Now, in Magento, there's an entire promotions engine that relates to special pricing that falls in line with like coupon codes and shipping promos and things like that. That's not what we're looking at today. Today, what we're looking at is how special pricing relates to a sales price inside of Acumatica or inside of your ERP. So in Acumatica, you have the sales prices. You can create a sales price worksheet. And as we see in this particular example, we've got the AA computer here that is on sale for $4.95 instead of the regular $500, and it's for a limited time. And so in Magento, we have the ability to synchronize that and make sure that it matches and that that promotion goes into effect automatically and that it falls out of effect automatically, which is pretty important. So what that might look like in the real world, you might see this injection molding machine for sale for $30,000. That's the regular price. Once the sale is enacted, or the sales price is enacted, you would see it marked down like this to $22,757. Regular price is $30,000, and that's going to pull from that Magento data, which is originally sourced in Acumatica. Customer groups are an important concept in Magento. Really, on the Enterprise Edition and on the Open Source Edition, you're going to find that much of your logic stems from the customer group logic. And so we're going to look here at dealers, OEMs, distributors. This is something that we see frequently with manufacturers. These will be common customer groups that they'll have. And then an employee customer group so that your employees can order online and get a special discount. So inside of Acumatica, we're still working with the sales price worksheets, and there's something called a customer price class. Inside of Magento, that's going to be called a customer group. So those synchronize quite well together. And a real world example of how this might look when it comes to the storefront, you would see these products, and you'll see, depending on which customer is logged in, they'll see different pricing. Now in this example, this particular customer has another advanced feature which is call for authorization. So on certain brands, they require manufacturer authorization for users to be able to purchase them. But on that first sound bar there, this is what it would look like when you have customer groups synchronizing at different price levels. And I'll just pause for a minute to let you do a visual inspection of that. It's pretty clear how it works out, but it's nice that that feature is built right into Magento. Now another way that you can extend customer groups is if you do indeed have a unique price per customer. Now this is also a place where you want to think about your strategy overall, and you could potentially edge your margins in your favor if you had a particular price per customer. With Acumatica and with Magento, you would have the ability to do that. If you had several thousand customers, eventually you're going to run into a little bit of a database performance issue where you're going to need to address that, but it's not a hurdle that's too hard to overcome. So you could have a different price for every product for every customer, and you could really work your margins that way. The question, of course, would be, does your administrative overhead for managing that offset the profit? But that's for your executives to discuss. And here's what a per customer per product price would look like. We have a particular SKU that we're looking at, and this SKU has a different price for every different customer group. Now that's for a quantity of one. If you wanted to do that for a bulk quantity, you could do something like this. So you have now where for one product, it sells at one price, and then if they buy 6 of a particular product, it drops down to what would be the lowest price perhaps for this product. And that same lowest price applies to all customers in this scenario. Now again, an important thing to understand about Magento is that out of the box, this behavior is the price, it's the bulk price for the bulk amount of that particular product. It's not a total of products in the cart, it's a total of that particular product in the cart. Now the markup module, this would be if for some reason you are storing cost inside of Acumatica or inside of your ERP in place of the price. In that case, you want to synchronize the cost into Magento and you want to mark that up. You want to make sure that the price never gets shown to the customer because they always would see some marked up version of the price. And so what that might look like would be, this is an example that I made up where, let's say this item is stored in the ERP at $60, $61, and then it's marked up 280% for a sales price of $210. So that is a quick overview of some of the features that are built into Magento and how they relate to Acumatica right out of the box. This is really a presentation that's directed towards you as a VAR, being able to have some informative information of exactly how Magento works and how that relates to Acumatica. So you can have an educated discussion with your clients. Feel free to reach out if you have more questions, if you want to set up a demo, or if there are some topics that I didn't cover that you would like to see expressed here. Thanks a lot. Talk to you later.